What if I told you that you could buy hundreds of companies with just $100 or even $10 for that matter's sake without you picking a single stock? That is index fund for you. As John Bogle once said, don't look for a needle in a haystack. Instead, buy the whole haystack. In this video, I'll break down what index funds are, how to invest in them, how they actually work, and why they are the most safest way to invest. What are index funds? Index funds are a basket of investment that tracks the performance of a market index such as S&P 500. Instead of guessing which stock to buy, you would buy small portions of all the companies within that basket. So you basically own a small percentage of all the companies within that basket. And when that company grows and that index grows, your investments grows as well. Index funds generally tend to do better because the risk is spread across evenly on all different companies within that basket, which is basically tracking an index such as S&P 500 or FTSE 100. When I started investing, this is way back in 2004 and 5, and I used to live in India, and I used to be someone who was really keen on making some money, investing into stocks, and basically looking at some of my friends who were also doing the similar thing. I just wanted to make money as quickly as possible, and I made a mistake, which is why I'm telling you here that all the people who are in their 20s or even in their 40s who are starting fresh to do investment in the stock market, I'm trying to show you how the index fund actually works and why it is one of the easy method out there where you cannot go wrong if you're playing a long game. When I was growing up, I just wanted to invest into shares, expecting it to grow immediately. Or let's say if I invested today, I just wanted it to grow in the next 10 to 15 days, hoping that my money would double. The reality is, unless you're an insider, you wouldn't know exactly how your stock is going to perform. So back in the day, with my hard-earned money, I invested into a company called Punjab National Bank. I put in 5,000 rupees of my hard-earned money, and guess what happened? Within no time, that particular company went down straight. So I learned my hard lesson. Within 5 days, I was down 10 to 15%. And what happened? I panicked. I panicked, took off money, and made a loss. That was my first lesson in the stock market. So today, the index fund, which we are talking right now, is an easiest way to make money without having to worry about which company you need to pick, which one is valued really good, which has a good balance sheet, which has a good profit and loss statement, and which one is making more revenue. You don't have to worry any of those things. The brokers who run these particular funds take care of all of these. And because your investment is spread throughout this basket of investment and it is tracking a specific market, the chances of you making a loss is quite low. Let me explain how the index fund works. So here in the UK, you can invest into something called a stocks and shares ISA account. So the stocks and shares ISA account is an account which allows you to buy the ETFs that you're interested in. So I want to introduce to you the Vanguard S&P 500. This particular ETF tracks the top 500 companies in the US. You go into a platform where you want to invest. So take Trading 212. That is a platform which allows you to buy the S&P 500 Vanguard ETF. You put in your money, set aside $100 or £100 each month, and you invest into these things. And these will allocate you something called as units. And that is basically the representation of all these stocks, all these companies combined together in this particular index. This fund automatically follows the index in that particular country. In this specific case, S&P 500. When the market rises, so does your investment. And when it falls, it does take a dip as well. So that is something that you need to be aware of. The highlight of the index fund is it is not trying to do anything extraordinary. Instead, it is basically tracking a particular index and your investment into all of the companies that forms that particular index. When that performs, your stocks are going to go up as well. What an index has in common over the last 10 or 20 or 20 odd years is it's consistently gone up in value, and it has periodically had a little bit of a dip here and there, but it's consistently keeps growing. Most people who try to beat the market tend to fail, but investing in an ETF is a sure shot success if you're in for a long haul. The benefits of investing into an ETF: first of all, your money or your investment is not concentrated in one or two companies. It is diversified across all the companies. Second, it is low cost. Third, it is simple. You're not doing the work. You're not picking which one are the winners and which one are the losers to avoid. This is done by the broker. And when you consistently invest, the market has always performed well, and it gives you a steady return over a long period of time. If you believe the market is going to grow, then index fund is your best bet to improve your odds to making money and having a financial freedom. Here are some of the mistakes that most of the investors do. First of all, they want to make money quick, and on an index fund or an investment, there is no quick scheme. Two, avoiding being consistent. You have to be consistent and in for a long journey. Third, and the most important aspect, trying to time the market. Remember this phrase, and this is something that I've learned over my investment period. It's not about timing the market, it is time in the market. Index funds aren't flashy. It's a boring investment, but you stick to it consistently and you keep investing every month, and you can watch your money grow. But don't do the watching every single day, because that's going to increase your anxiety. So instead, stick to a routine of investing your money and leaving it for few months, and then periodically come and assess and see how exactly it is performing. And then, based on your performance of that particular index, you decide whether to go in and add a little bit more money. The second important aspect, which I will talk about and I'll explain it to you in another video completely, is try and beat the inflation. One of the ways to beat the inflation is when you're making a steady investment. Let's assume you're making $100 a month and you do that for a year, and the next year you get a raise in your pay, and there's a 10% raise. Now you also notice that the inflation has gone up as well. So from last year it was like 3%. This year, assuming that it probably might go up to about 3.5%. The only way you can beat the inflation is try and increase your monthly investment by the percentage. So a standard rule I generally apply on my investment is I try and increase it by 5% every year. So if I'm investing £100 each month, I would increase that by 5%, so £105 every month, starting from the next year onwards, every financial year. That way I'm beating the inflation, I'm covering the inflation, so my investment doesn't get affected by that, but instead it is continuously tracking the performance of that index. So any returns that you gain from that investment is absolutely correlating to the exact index performance. So if the index has gone up by 10% over a period of time, that's your 10% return, plus the 3% increase that you added to beat the inflation. If you found this interesting, please share, like, and comment, and consider following me. End of the day, who wants to be broke? You want to have a financial freedom. So remember, start small, stay consistent, and build your financial freedom. See you in the next one.